What if you mess up your child? That is the biggest question that I get asked all the time about homeschooling, and I am going to address that today. Hey everyone, my name is Amanda Bealles, and I am here at the Bealles, and if you don't know, I am a homeschool mom, or I should say a homeschool mom veteran. I've actually graduated all three of my children. I homeschooled all the way to the end, and they all graduated at 16, and they all have college educations, they all work, and they all are, by God's grace, functioning adults. So I've been asked a lot of questions lately about homeschooling because with everything going on in the world, a lot of people are beginning to homeschool that had never done it before, maybe weren't even interested about it, and they are worried to death. And the question that I get most often is, what if I mess up my child? So we're going to talk about that today, and I hope it will encourage you as you move forward into homeschooling that you won't feel like this is so overwhelming. You can feel like you can do it. The truth of the matter is when you ask the question, what if I mess up my child? That really encompasses all of the other questions, because when everybody's asking me about which curriculum to choose or how to do their schedule and time management, how they would discipline their child in the homeschool, when they're asking me all of these questions, they're basically asking me, what if they mess up their child? Because if they choose the wrong curriculum, they think it's going to ruin everything. And if they don't get their time management straight, their children won't learn enough. So all of these fears are kind of coming to the head with this idea of messing up their child. And I just want to encourage you that you will not mess up your child. I want to bring you back to when you had your baby, your very, very first baby, and the doctor placed them in your hands. And I don't care how much you studied, I don't care how many books you read and how many parenting classes you took prior to that moment, you had literally no idea what you were doing when they handed you this baby. And yet somehow your child is getting to the point where they have learned to walk and talk and be potty trained and all the things that children learn to do. And even though you had no clue how to teach that, a lot of that just came naturally. You just, worked with them every day and were consistent and just tried to approach it as something that they can learn if you take enough time and practice to do it. And that is essentially what homeschool learning is. You are just going to do things daily and take enough time to practice, and they will pick it up. Think about it. Like when you had your first child, you probably were like super, super anxious and like did all of the baby proofing and read all of the books and took all of the advice that you could get and just listened to everybody. And with the second child, you were a little more understanding, a little less stressed, still looking at things a little more structured. But by the third child, you threw all that stuff out the window and you just kind of went out the door with one diaper and that was it. You know what I mean? It's totally the same with homeschooling. As you get started, you might be so stressed and like looking at every book, but once you get going, you're going to get to a place where you feel very comfortable and you can almost wing it. So you'll get there. Just give yourself some time. Children are made to learn, and they all learn on roughly the same time schedule. That's why children are usually put in age groups into their grades, because they might not be exactly on the same timetable, but they're kind of close. And so you can feel good that if your child is within that range, that they're learning and gaining skills at a healthy level. But it doesn't matter, what curriculum you use or how you set up your schedule, or, if you're doing everything like a school, like you have a whole classroom in your house. This is my son's bedroom because it was my only quiet corner in my house. Look at those books. This is just his bedroom. He could school here, no problem. You don't have to have everything fancy. You can do it. Things are going to come together even when you think that they won't. Trust me. When it comes to choosing curriculum, and I'm going to do a whole series of curriculum recommendations for every kind of grade level here soon, but I just want to encourage you, it doesn't really matter what curriculum you choose. My oldest son, Brian, he learned to add and subtract by playing cards, those little playing card games that kids did when they were younger, and they got points for fighting and, lost points when they had some kind of blast or something. I don't even know. I didn't play those games. But he was like 4 years old and all of his friends were playing those little trading card games, and he learned how to add and subtract that way. My daughter learned more about fractions from cooking, from just following recipes, than she ever did in any kind of formal book learning. And in addition to that, she learned multiplication tables by watching a dancing cow on YouTube. You can spend a lot of money on curriculum, you can stress about curriculum, but what it comes down to is just that you are teaching them on a day-to-day basis, and that they are motivated and interested, and then they will pick it up. What really matters is that you try, that you are invested, that you are involved, that you are not just handing them a book and then going and watching TV. You know, a lot of homeschoolers, after they've homeschooled for a while and their children know the drill, you know, they can just hand their kids a book and they know what they're doing and they can go through their little test and everything's easy. And when they approach new homeschoolers, like, oh, it's so easy, you know, give them a book, it'll be fine. And so new homeschoolers often get the idea that, you know, if they can't just hand their kid a book and they can do it on their own, then they've totally failed. That's not the case. Trust me. I don't care how many times people will tell you otherwise. You really do have to sit with your child. You really do have to spend time with them. You really do have to make sure that they are at least grounded and rooted in those basic skills before you can even get to the point where you can start just handing them a book and allowing them to do self-directed learning. So, and I'm going to, again, talk about that when I talk about curriculum, because there's kind of a system, there's kind of a pattern towards it, but you will get there. Even if it seems overwhelming because you're sitting with them at first, you will get there. And what I want to encourage you is, you know, sometimes because you do have to sit with your child, and it does take time, especially if you have multiple children and you're switching back and forth, it's going to take a good portion of your day. And you're going to have to stop and do dishes and, you know, answer the door and maybe run to co-op or go to the library. And all those things are good things. So don't feel like you have to, you know, spend all of your life only focused on this. The thing about school is school has a very structured time period. Your children are in each class from this time to that time. And whether they finish or not, at the end of that time, they're done. Same thing with your homeschooling. Feel confident that you can just work through that period of time, work through that whole day, and at the end of that day, assuming that you've, you know, gone through each of your subjects at least a little bit, then you are done with your day. And at the end of however many days that you need for your school and your community and according to your state laws, once you've completed those days, then you've completed the school year. It doesn't matter if you've completed every single page of every book or not. You know, we went to public school, my husband and I don't remember a single time that we actually completed an entire book in a year. Not one time. I remember every single year we kind of got most of the way through it, but not completely. So again, this is just to let you know in advance. If you're not getting through everything every day, that's okay. It's going to work out fine in the end. Consistency, faithfulness, showing up every day, making sure they're in their book every day, schedule time. You've got it. Anybody can do it. It's just like when you were teaching them to walk. You know, every single time you have the opportunity, you're like, here, you know, stand up, take a couple steps, give it a try. And you encouraged them along the way. You're like, good job, great job. And the more that you did that, they learned the benefits of it. So it's the exact same thing. The only thing you really have to guard against, and I'm just being honest with you here, is there are going to be tough times with anything. You know, if you've ever potty trained kids, if you've ever taught them to do anything, there's going to be times when they struggle. There's going to be times, frankly, when you struggle, when you have a lot going on in your life. And even when those days happen, you know, it's good sometimes to take a day off if you really feel like you're overwhelmed and just say, you know what, guys, we're taking a day off. The school system has days off, right? But what you don't want to get in the habit of is taking too many days off, you know, allowing that difficulty to turn into laziness that becomes a habit. Do you know what I mean? You just got to be honest with yourself. You've got to say, you know what, I'm having a hard time. Maybe I need to change up my schedule. Maybe I need to find some different resources. Maybe I need to connect with a homeschool veteran in my area. But whatever's going on, the only thing you really need to guard against is the desire and the tendency when it gets hard to just back off of it. No. The only thing that is going to make this work, doesn't matter the curriculum, doesn't matter the classroom, doesn't matter if any of those things. What matters is consistency, faithfulness. Do it every day. They will learn. You won't mess them up. And let me also encourage you, if your child isn't learning something very quickly or easily, they might not be ready for it. You know, we potty trained our kids, and I had one that potty trained like right at 2. They just decided they weren't wearing diapers anymore. Done. It wasn't even an issue. And I had another one that struggled for years, and no amount of pushing or reward systems or anything was going to make that any different. It didn't change anything at all. And it's the same thing with your child. You know, when you're teaching them, say, algebra, which I know a lot of people are scared of, again, it's just a matter of consistency. Some of them are going to pick it up really quickly and easily and move on with their lives, and you're just going to be like, wow, I'm a great teacher. And then there's going to be others that really have a hard time. And just like with potty training, maybe they're going to struggle with it for years. But if they just keep going and if you just keep practicing, you don't have to push, you don't have to punish, you don't have to stress about it. Just keep going, keep practicing, getting new curriculum, get study worksheets, do it continually, and over time they will pick it up. That's it. There really is no secret formula. Just patience and understanding and persistence. Keep going, keep smiling. You don't want to lose your joy. You don't want to lose your hope. Your child is going to be fine. You won't mess them up. They're made to learn, and you have a really great opportunity to be a part of that and be in their lives every single day. It's a unique time for you. Enjoy it. Don't stress about it. So anyway, that's it for today. I just wanted to, before I did anything else, encourage you guys that you do not have to be stressed about this. You can do it. And now that I've told you you can do it, tomorrow I'm going to come back and tell you how you can start homeschooling. Just the basic things that you need. Because if you're thinking about it, I know that all of these things are flying at you. You know, you need this book and you need this thing in your classroom. What do you really need to get started with homeschooling? We'll talk about that tomorrow. All right, thanks for hanging out with me. Don't forget to follow the Bealles. We're on Instagram and Facebook, and my website's going to be up soon at thebealles.com, so check that out when it's ready. And that's that. Let me know if you need anything else. I'll have some links down in the description box that might be helpful to you. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.